Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Appelboom Bites podcast. Today is a really special episode because it's the first episode without David Parker, aka Figbudo Pants, because we just kicked him out, and we have a wonderful new co-host. Welcome, Vanessa Langton. Wow.
Hi.
Hello, Vanessa.
How are y'all?
I'm fine. How are you?
Hello. Good. I'm excited to be here.
How are you? Yeah, I'm really happy to have you here. You know, David was great, but it's even better to have you here.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. And we have a very special guest on your first episode on the show, Vanessa, because it is Matthew Morse. Welcome, Matthew. How are you, Matthew?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm flattered. Always nice to be a guest on stuff like this. So yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show.
And it's Vanessa's first show, Matthew, which is real fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So Matthew, I met you about 2 years ago at the DC Pen Show. We had a lot of fun. At that time, I think you just designed a Retro 51. Is that correct, or is it longer ago?
Yeah, it was my third one, I guess. So it's probably the Space Cat pen.
Yes,
the one that had come out right then. So yeah,
because that's what you do for a living, right? Design things.
Yes, yeah, not retro specifically, but graphic design. Yeah, that's my 9 to 5.
So what?
How did you get into graphic design?
Kind of an interesting story. So I initially went to school for engineering, and I got a job at an engineering firm, and they didn't have a computer for me on my first day, so they gave me a computer that belonged to a landscape architect. So it had like Photoshop and Illustrator and stuff on it. And in my downtime, I would just kind of mess with Photoshop and Illustrator, and I had some friends that were in bands. I started designing their like show posters and their like CD jackets and stuff. And it kind of stuck. And I went back to school and got a degree in design and a degree in photography. So I dual majored and kind of doing it ever since. So now I specialize in book covers. I still do some logos and stuff on the side, but most of what I do is book covers. So
that's pretty exciting.
Kind of a weird journey. Yeah, it's a weird way to get into design, I guess.
But at the end, David told me in the last episode, everybody is good in something, and there's always a way that we discover things like this, and sometimes it just happens, and then you're there and you find the thing that you're good at. So maybe this was your journey to end up in your profession.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, thank you so much for being here. Before we start this whole episode and this whole show, we always do the pen check first.
The pen check.
Vanessa, would you like to start with your first ever pen check on the Appelboom Bites podcast?
I'd love to. In fact, I've been using this massive Pelikan Silveron M1000. It's probably one of the biggest pens I have, and I love it because it's actually a great writer, but it has this super huge nib. And it's just kind of oversized. It's a lot of fun. It feels good in the hand. I enjoy it very much.
What nib do you have on it?
This is a fine nib, and it's a big number 8 giant nib. Yeah.
Nice. Now, what ink do you have in it?
I don't remember what ink I put in it. It's something blue. I never can remember what inks I put in these things. I should be more organized. There's people who actually write that down, but I never do that. So I should.
I know people have like spreadsheets.
I know, it's crazy.
Like the model of the pen, like the nib, what ink is in it, when they inked it up. Like I'm not that organized.
That's way too organized. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But it's important to have that information. If anybody asks you what ink is it, you should have that answer.
But it's always fun to have a surprise.
Something blue.
Something blue.
Right.
All right. Nice. Matthew, what pen do you carry with you today?
So today I have a Pelican also.
Oh, wow.
It's the M805 etched demonstrator, which was a limited edition, I think, from a couple of years ago. You can still find these. This is my favorite pen that I own, probably that I've ever owned. It ticks a lot of boxes for me because it has the etchings or all the different pen parts are like written. I don't know if you guys can see that. They're like written on the barrel of the pen.
That's amazing.
And then it's backfilled in white. And so I love demonstrators anyway. And then the fact that this one has all the parts labeled is pretty cool.
Are the labels in English
this is the second
German?
one of these. These are actually in English.
Okay.
So
nice.
I don't know that they did a German one. I think they did one that was in like Mandarin maybe, and it has gold colored hardware. This one has the rhodium. Did they do a German one?
Yeah, there are multiple versions. So I know about the Mandarin one for sure. That had the gold trims indeed. And the silver trimmed version came in English and German. And the English one was, of course, very popular. But after that one was sold out, everybody wanted to have the German one. So it was really fun to see how everybody...
I think having it in German would actually... Yeah, I think having it in German would actually be even more fun since it's a German pen. Yeah. But so this is the second one of these I've owned because the first one I owned, I didn't realize. So I put it in an ultrasonic cleaner and it removed all the white backfill from the etchings. Mm-hmm. And so I contacted Pelican about it, and they were kind enough to replace it. Like they sent me I sent it in, they replaced the barrel. So, or either repaired it, I'm not sure. But so it came back and it's... I know now not to put it in an ultrasonic cleaner.
That was nice of them.
They should have told you
they didn't charge me for it either. I fully.
And what ink do you have in it? Because especially with demonstrators, it is important to know.
This is actually I know what ink this is, but I can't recall the name of it. It's Otodome something. I'll look it up and I'll tell you. But
on your spreadsheet,
you can see.
Yeah, it's not on my spreadsheet, but I can. It's a sailor ink called like Otodome or something like that. It's sort of it's like really beautiful blue gray kind of color. Nice. That is I really love it. So I'll put a link to it in our chat.
Thanks.
So you can link to.
That looks nice. Do you change colors in your demonstrator, and how do you do that? Because that's always a little bit of a thing, right, with demonstrators.
Yeah, I do. I have like a hard and fast rule that I don't put anything pink or red in a demonstrator anymore because just pinks and reds tend to stain. Oranges do a little bit, but I will. For the most part, I'm kind of boring when it comes to ink anymore. Like I've gotten to where I just really like blues and blacks and grays. So I don't know, maybe I'm getting old. That's probably what it is.
No, that's not it.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I've just gotten a little boring in my ink selections lately. So my one holdout is that I love orange inks.
Nice.
So I'll always have something inked up with orange.
Yeah, orange is a great color, especially for the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit biased. Right. All right, let's go to my pen check before I forget it. Sometimes I just forget my pen check. We come back to you later, Matthew. So I have this really special, not a Pelican with me today. It is a pen that I announced on the show as a new product last week. So everybody that listened to the podcast last week already know it, because this is the Monte Grappa Venezia with a celluloid. This is a Pro Gray, and it is an exclusive collaboration between the distributor of Monte Grappa in the United States, Canro Industries, and Monte Grappa in Italy. They only made 100 pieces of each color. It's available in 4 colors. This is the Pro Gray, which I love the most. and it's also the best-selling one. But there are also 3 other more colors. Vanessa, do you know the other 3 colors?
Not off the top of my head. I know there's kind of there's a blue color.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I think there are 2
Can I see that
blues.
pen again?
This is the
pearl there's gray. Like 2 blues. There's a pearl gray, and then I can't think of what the other color is.
Also
it's
a beautiful color. It's also a really beautiful color.
They're very beautiful. They're very beautiful.
It's amazing. And so the material celluloid that's made, it's really rare nowadays. Back in the days, it was used more often, but that makes it even more special. And I'm really proud to have this one. And have it with me today. So that was my pen.
What kind of nib you got on there?
It is an extra fine.
What's the nib?
It is an extra fine. But normally I use broad nibs. I like that more because you can see the ink better, the ink shading. But this one came with an extra fine. Ryan from Canary Industries, he just sent me the extra fine one. And I was like, okay, I like the color that much. I will just use the extra fine. So thank you, Ryan, for that. You just have to write
really tiny.
Yeah, I don't like that. So that's why I prefer the broad nibs. All right, talking about inks. So Matthew, you're not too much in all the ink colors anymore. But I know that Vanessa had a really intensive month playing with a lot of diamine inks. Vanessa, can you tell a little bit more about all those inks?
So many colors every day. There was some days I couldn't do it every day, so I would miss a day, and I would reveal, like just this weekend, I revealed 4 inks at the same time, and I have my little book, my little decorated Appelboom pocket notebook that I've been doing these in, and so
nice.
Yeah, I've just been keeping a record of them.
And we're talking about the ink fan calendar of diamine.
Yes, this right here.
Yeah. Which is a really cool idea.
Right here.
It's a lovely way to discover all the inks that are now.
Cute.
Yeah.
It's like a little surprise every day.
Yeah.
So this one I got really excited.
Do you just open one a day, Vanessa?
No.
Do you open one a day, or do you just like rush through the whole thing?
I want to rush through the whole thing so bad, but I'm trying to exercise self-control. Like my son even said, why don't you just open all of them? And I'm like, well, I really want to, but I'm trying to make it kind of exciting. So one day I got very excited, and I ended up ripping it like pretty bad because I just, I record them for Instagram, and I just stick my finger and I just like, and but yeah, it's actually a really fun idea. I think that I like those little calendars, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Like this one over the weekend, I missed 4 inks to reveal because I got busy with work and stuff. So I opened 4 of them, and I just made like a little drawing out of it using all 4 inks. So that was, that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a little coffee cup.
Let Matthew say if it's nicely done, because he's the expert.
Okay, so
no, it is. Your stuff is always so nice.
You rate it.
Didn't you just do some like watercolors of some Esterbrook pens? Was that you?
That was me.
That did those? Like
yeah, it's right here.
I think you had them on TikTok. Those were gorgeous.
I put it on. Here you go. These right here.
Yeah,
these the ones.
Those are super, super pretty. Yeah, and then I think you did the ones that were like the more like mosaic looking ones, right?
That's what this one is. I did that one. You might recognize. Let's see. There is Oktoberfest. That one just happened.
Yeah, so, that's cool. Your stuff's always so pretty. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just enjoy making stuff with pens, inks, paints, whatever, any kind of media. What's your favorite kind of media to design with or to create your illustrations with?
So, I mean, I'll sketch a little bit like in pen, but for the most part, I draw digitally. So I'm like I love the sound of their like sirens over there.
They're so different.
Like, so European.
So European.
But yeah, I'm very much like a digital artist mostly, just because it just works. It kind of works with my workflow a little better.
Right.
I don't know. I can tie it in with design, so just a little bit easier than doing it on paper and having to scan it in or photograph it and redraw it or whatever. So,
right. How did you get your start in graphic design in that field?
So I went to school for engineering, and they didn't have a computer for me on the first day whenever I started this engineering job. So they gave me a computer from this landscape architect that had retired, and they were like, this should have what you need on it, at least get you started. And it had Photoshop and Illustrator and all that on it. And so I started just like playing with it in my downtime, and had some friends that, engineering, there's a little art to it anyway. You have to draw and do stuff. And so I kind of just started playing in this design software, and I had friends that were in bands, and they'd be like, hey, you got Photoshop? Like, can you do a poster for our show or whatever? And started doing that, and like doing their like CD jackets. They do these little like like home recorded like CDs in their garages or whatever. And so I started kind of doing stuff for them, and I just kind of fell in love with it. People were like, you're really good at this, and you should. This is like what you should be doing. So I went back to school for design. Left the engineering field, which was it's had its good moments and bad. So I think
well, that's something we definitely have in common. My start was also in graphic design, so I think that's what it attracted me to your work. And then it turns out you're also into pens. So I was curious, right. How does that all connect for you? Graphic design and pens and
so I've always loved pens. And like, I mean, a lot of people say that like, oh, I've always loved pens. But I mean, like, I remember I got in trouble one time because my mom gave me like $20 to go in the store and pick up, I don't know, like something for her. And I had a few dollars left over, and I spent it on pens. I was like 6 years old. And so like I spent like the difference on pens, and I came back and she's like, where's my change? And I was like, oh, I bought pens with the change. And she's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, and like I grew up, we didn't have like a lot of money growing up. So like that, like $6 or whatever that I spent on pens was like, it was like a lot. And so I've just like the beginning of the school year was always my favorite time because I got to go like school supply shopping, and like I never got cool points for this. Like girls don't like the guy with like, a bag full of Pilot G2s and all the different colors and like color match tabs for his notebooks like that. You don't get any cool points for that in school. But so I've just always loved it. And then my first fountain pen was a Lamy Vista that I bought at this little art store down the street from my first design job, which was in Charleston, where I'm from, Charleston, South Carolina. And I carried that Lamy Vista for like, I don't know, two or 3 years every day in my pocket. It was just like completely beat up, and it got to the point where the cap wouldn't like stay on. It wouldn't like snap on. And so like one day it like the cap came off and like fell out of my pocket, and I got home and I just had the pen with no cap. And so I ditched that pen. I figured that one had like lived its life. And I bought something else. I don't even remember what it was now. And that's kind of what started it, because I went online to look to see if you could buy a new cap. And I found like the fountain pen network, and it was like, oh, it's not worth it to replace, to buy a cap, just replace the pen. And then I was like, oh, there's like thousands of pens. Like what? This is a thing. Like there's a world out here that I don't know about. And so I started just like gobbling up information and like buying pens and trading and selling, and the rest is kind of history. So, but yeah.
Sounds like you and that Vista had some good times.
Yeah, but what about you though? Like, have pens always been a thing for you?
No. Well, yes.
I know
yes
I'm not really
and no.
supposed to be the one asking questions.
We've kind of taken over Joost's podcast.
That's okay. Sorry, guys. I had some technical issues with my headphones, so I still have it. So I'm now getting all the audio through the speakers. So I hope I can manage it like this, still do the podcast. But a lovely story, Matthew. And do you not only have demonstrators, because you really have a love for it, right?
No, like I have a lot of different. So I don't just stick to demonstrators. I just love demonstrators. They're kind of my favorite. So
it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool, seeing the internal mechanism and how it works and see the ink. I feel you in that. I feel you.
Absolutely.
Right, guys. Let's go to the next subject, because 2022 is almost ending. And I just wanted to know what was like your main thing of 2022, but pen related. So, all the things that happened this year with the Mont Blanc last Patron Award, or the King Charles pen issues when he was signing his declaration, or I don't know. Just tell me, what was the most pen-related highlight of 2022? Matthew, let's start with you.
Oh, you can't start with me. I don't even know.
That's true. Let's start with Vanessa.
Well, that King Charles thing probably was the funniest thing that happened. I'm thinking because I'm talking not the one where he's at the desk signing something and he pushes some tray of pens away. I'm talking about the one where he gets ink on his fingers and he flips out.
That was amazing.
Because
that was definitely
it was so relatable.
Yeah.
But the one part he jumps up. Oh, for sure. I mean, he jumps up and Camilla takes the pen and she's like, oh, it's all over my fingers. And he gets up and gets a handkerchief and it looks like he's going to give it to her to clean off her hand. And he just walks away cleaning off his own hands.
Yeah, that's how it is, right? There's nobody coming and clean your hands, Vanessa, if you have ink on your fingers, right?
That's funny.
Yeah. But
so, Mitchell,
other than that, oh, sorry.
I mean, I think like it's so rare to see fountain pens like in the news, right? Or even outside the hobby. And so I think that was cool. But I do. So I started a new job this year. I work for Forbes Books, which is part of Forbes magazine, that kind of group. So I was like sitting at my new job. I work remote, but I had to go in the office for the first couple of weeks. And I was sitting at the office, and the guy next to me, one of our other graphic designers, I look over and he's writing with a Pilot Falcon, like just taking like notes in his notebook. And I was like, hey, it's Pilot Falcon. He's like, you know pens? I was like, oh, do I know pens? Like,
oh, wow.
Let me tell you about
that. That was a great
I have never ever once worked with somebody who was like, oh, cool. Like I also use pens, like, and we have like nerded out ever since. So if I get a new pen and I'm in the office, like I'll take it with me so I can like share it with them.
But I think it's pretty unique that you have somebody on your 9 to 5 job that also enjoys the hobby. Yeah. I think it's you really have to take care of that person because it's unique.
Yeah, so I think that was like pretty special for me to like find like a fountain pen friend at work, and then also the King Charles thing. I mean, like that's just hilarious to see like fountain pens in the news and all the memes that like followed. And it was like, like there was one that was like, oh, me anytime I have to fill out forms at the doctor's office, and then they hand me like this like ballpoint pen. It's like, get this away from me. Like I don't want this. So
yeah, that was definitely a highlight. It was crazy, to see all those things all over the news that we just experience all the time. So that was crazy.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's go to some new products that we just recently launched on our website.
New products.
one of them is a completely new brand, or actually it's a relaunch on our website because we had it before, but then we put it off and now we have it on the website again. It is a British brand. It's called Yardolad, and they make amazing writing instruments. So most of them, or actually all of them, are made with sterling silver, and there are hand chased Victorian designs on the writing instruments. It is amazingly done, and I'm really impressed with all that handwork. Vanessa, have you ever held a Yardolad fountain pen before?
I haven't. I've seen them in catalogs and online and on people's Instagram accounts, and they look gorgeous. I've never handled one before. I mean, they're so fancy.
Did you, Matthew?
I've never owned one, but I've handled some at pen shows, and not that you guys asked my opinion on them. I love them because they have this very, like, almost like an Art Deco, like, vintage feel to them, and almost exclusively. Like, it's rare to see a Yardolad that's not sort of vintage, at least vintage, very vintage inspired. And I just think they're really beautiful and classic, and they usually have these intricate designs. Their clips are sort of remind me of like old, like, Waterman and things like that, and like from like the early 1900s. And I don't know, I think they're just really beautifully made, and I just think they're kind of cool.
I think it's unique what they do with the handwork on the writing instruments. There's no other brand that's doing that. So it's really a brand on itself. And of course, there are other sterling silver fountain pens available in the market, but not how they do it, with all the designs and things like that. Mitchell, what do you think about these designs? Because you're the expert. So what do you think of these designs?
I mean, I do love them. I think that they adhere to like a pretty specific brand standard throughout their design, right? So it's kind of easy to spot a Yardolad and know, like, oh, that's a Yardolad pen, because they have that intricate design. They sort of they do work mostly in sterling silver. I don't know. I love them. I've never owned one. They're not for, like, not because I don't want one, or that I just, there's always been like something else that's like come up,
one
right?
day,
So
no worries. One day.
Yeah, one day. So they do tend to be a little bit pricey. So
yeah, that's definitely the thing. But you get a lot of sterling silver for it, and a lot of handwork, and that's also worth it. So the price is you can justify the price. No worries. Another new
absolutely, yeah,
on our website, it is the TWSBI Eco Tea Royal Jade, and it is the latest release of TWSBI, and it's really Christmas theme, because it's green, and it is in a set together with an ink bottle of TWSBI, the Midnight Blue ink bottle. So it's a beautiful gift set. We're still waiting for our shipment, but I hope to receive it like later this week. International shipping will be a little bit difficult, but hopefully we can ship some to our customers in the Netherlands to have it in time to have it under the Christmas tree. Talking about the Christmas trees, Matthew and Vanessa, do you have any plans for Christmas?
No.
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Just hanging out with my family, and spending time with them. And that's always nice every year with kids. Mine are pretty much grown up now, but just, they still get that little glimmer of excitement. There's something about Christmas that just, makes you kind of like a kid again. So you see like my 20-year-old son or my 17-year-old daughter who are just giddy to open presents. And, it's kind of sweet to see them still like that. But it's, they're growing up so fast. It's just nice to be able to spend time with them.
You know that they're watching the show as well, right, Vanessa? So you can only say nice things about them.
I can only say nice things about them right now.
And Matthew, what about you? Because your children are a bit smaller.
Yeah. So I have a 6-year-old daughter, and her and I are gonna do Christmas. We're actually gonna do our Christmas on Christmas Eve because I'm flying out Christmas Day to Kansas City to see some friends and family out there and hang out for a week and a half or 2 weeks or so. I'm just gonna work from Kansas City. So so we're gonna do our Christmas. Santa's gonna come to our house Christmas Eve.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Instead of Christmas morning. So,
that's something that we
so,
never did in the Netherlands. So we don't have that Santa Claus coming Christmas Eve kind of thing. It's we celebrated.
Well, when does Santa come see you?
Sorry, once again.
Sorry, does Santa come to the Netherlands and visit kids there?
No. It's not happening here. Maybe there are only bad kids here or something. I don't know. But he's never coming here. So
wait, is it in the Netherlands? Oh, do they don't they put stuff in shoes? Is that?
Yeah, so that's a different thing. It's called Sinterklaas, and it's in the beginning of December. So on the 5th of December, we celebrate Sinterklaas, and that's kind of Santa Claus, but different. And then he puts gifts in the shoes of the kids, and then the story is that he comes through the house and bring the gifts, and then he leaves, because December 6th is his actual birthday, and then he has to go back to Spain because he lives in Spain to be there on his birthday. So his last day in the Netherlands, he gives everybody gifts, and it's amazing. It's amazing to celebrate it like this. So, but maybe that's why we don't celebrate Christmas with Santa Claus coming to our homes, because we already had that guy.
He's already come out and seen all y'all, so he doesn't need to come back.
Yeah, that's why. So he already gave all the gifts, and now we just have to be nice again for an whole other year, and that's hard enough. So we are trying.
So in the States, I don't know if you guys do this, but in the States, they say like if you're bad, like if kids are bad, they get like a bag of coal or like a bag of switches instead of toys and candy. And my dad came and saw me a couple of days ago and like literally brought me a bag of coal, like this like 40-pound bag of charcoal for my grill, because like I grill all the time. And so he's like, oh, like here's a giant bag of coals. And I was like, thanks, Dad. Like I appreciate it. Like apparently
then you're worth it. Then you know you're worth it.
Exactly. Yeah, I know my daughter was like, Daddy, you got a bag of coal because you've been bad. I'm like, yeah, thanks, kid. Appreciate it.
That's funny. Vanessa, do you have your last question for Matthew before we're ending the show? Because we're almost at the end of the show.
I do, and I don't know if it's so much pen related, but it's okay. Well, it's something that I'm fascinated with Matthew's photography, and I'm curious. First of all, are you going to let me have your Leica? And secondly, how did you get into photography?
I will probably be buried with my Leica. So chances are, but I will gladly send it to you anytime. You can hang on to it for a little bit and shoot a couple rolls of film with it, because it's an absolute dream to shoot with. But photography was sort of born out of my engineering job as well. So when I worked as an engineer, I traveled a lot for work, and I was into photography as a kid. My dad, you probably can't see it, but there's a camera hanging on the wall back there. And it was my dad's camera. He took pictures of me with it when I was a kid. And I loved that camera. Like I would play with it, and I loved it. And in high school, I got into photography a little bit, and that's where my love for Leica was born. I saw the movie Closer with Julia Roberts. She shoots with a Leica M6, and I was like, that's it. That's my one. That's my camera. Like, I gotta have it. And so, when I was traveling for work, I was like, I'm going to these beautiful places and like traveling all over the United States, and it's like I really should be like taking a camera with me that's like actually like worth its salt. So I bought my first camera. And then when I decided to go back to school, I dual majored in graphic design and photography. And I worked at a camera store when I went back to school because I quit my engineering job. So I needed money to go to school. So I got a part-time job at a camera store and started just learning all I could about cameras as well. I'm a little bit like, I don't go halfway on hobbies. So like if there's something to know about a hobby, I'm going to know it. Like I'm going to find a forum or like a deep hole on the internet somewhere and go in there for like a couple of weeks and like not come out until I know everything there is to know. So, yeah. And I just sort of fell in love with it. I shot professionally for a little while.
Actually, it's quite funny because we have a lot of customers that love photography. So it's like in some way connected with fountain pens, or at least, it has similarities that, that there are multiple people interested in both hobbies.
Yeah, for me, it's, especially with film photography. So I shot professionally for a while. And then it was kind of hard to shoot for fun because I felt like I was just working, right? Like if you're shooting as your job and then you come home, the last thing you want to do is mess with a camera. And so I started doing a lot of film photography as my personal work, just because it was a disconnect from the digital photography I was doing at work. And I think it's a tactile thing. It's an analog thing. Like I've talked about this before in different arenas and like in conversations at pen shows and stuff. Cause people are like, like why film photography or why photography? Like my Leica is fully manual. It's tactile. It's like it's serviceable. So like this Pelican, for instance, like when it got messed up, I was able to send it in and get it repaired. It wasn't like it's this disposable thing that you just throw away. Digital cameras and phones and things like that, they're built with obsolescence in mind. So they're planned obsolescence. And so they're designed to not last forever. They're not designed to be repaired. I mean, you can replace a cracked screen or something, but it's rare that you would have that. I mean, I don't know anybody that's using a cell phone that's 20 years old, right? But like my Leica was built in 1992 or something. So, the camera is 30 years old now and, over 30 years old. And so I love the sort of, that like serviceability, the usability, the tactile thing. It's analog. I don't know. There's just something sort of like sweet about and something special about using a film camera or any camera really, but using a camera and not just like a phone, like not having a screen up in front of your face. So I don't know.
I can imagine.
Agreed.
I can completely imagine. Vanessa, is that a good answer on your question?
It is. Well, I'm also I'm a fellow camera geek. If you look over here, I'll turn this. You can see some of my box camera collection up there.
Fun.
Yeah, and I have a couple others.
And stuff.
Oh, I don't know if I can reach it. I have the brick. I was like, okay, bye.
So that was Vanessa. Thank you, Vanessa.
This is one of my favorites.
Is that an Argus?
Yes, it's the brick.
That's fun.
It's the Argus. Yeah,
I love those.
So I'm always scouring, eBay or trying to find, cool cameras. I love cameras.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
But you make really beautiful
how
photographs.
This whole pen podcast turned all the way to cameras and stuff like that. But that's also why I love this show and why I love to bring people to the show and, just talk about interesting things. And it doesn't have to be only about fountain pens. But yeah, that's what we all love. All right, so we're here at the end of the show. Vanessa, I would really like to thank you for your first show as a co-host. It was amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for being there at the moment that my technical devices, didn't work, and take over the whole show together with Matthew. Matthew, thank you so much for being our guest here today on the first episode with Vanessa. It's always great to talk to you and hear your stories. And
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It was great. Vanessa, I will see you next week again with another guest.
Yes.
And we will make fun again. I'm sure about that.
Absolutely.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening to our show through Spotify or Apple's podcast or whatever you use to listen to the show. Or if you're watching it through our YouTube channel, thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we hope to see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.